Welcome to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I am your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for being here with me today. I want to remind you all that this is live broadcasted, live streamed every week at 11 a.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel. So go find my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tricia Carr. And do please like, subscribe, share, comment. And, I put up other things there. Recently, I just put up a little live stream that I had done in my Facebook group. I'm also doing some live streams on Instagram. So check me out on Instagram at Tricia Carr Charm. And my website, well, that's TriciaCarCharm.com for my one-on-one services and all of my classes, including many that are on demand. Keep your eye out there. You can actually get my animal communication program, the comprehensive program, right now and start working it on demand. And in just a couple of months, we're going to open registration for a live version of that program. And anyone who has been in the program, taken it on demand or in any other format, is welcome into the live program where there'll be coaching and everything. So go check it out on my website, TriciaCarCharm.com, Mystic Arts Academy, and the tab under Work With Me. And if you live in Los Angeles, you can attend my live and local classes. I have twice per month an intuitive and mediumship development class. It's so fun. We keep that small because we're all working together in a really sacred and loving space. And in addition to that, I have many live classes coming up each month. So just go check it out. And that's all I have to say about me, because I want to welcome, who is in studio with me, my guest today. She is a certified transformational life coach, Reiki Master, healer, and meditation guide. And she's also an animal communicator, y'all. Welcome, Jamie Wozny.
Hello. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to connect with you today.
Yes, I know. I feel like we're twin flames as women.
It's exactly.
I was like, oh my gosh, I do all the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm super excited to just talk about your whole journey. I mean, I think we were talking about how you were a sensitive child, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I imagine that your story is similar to mine, that you found the comfort in nature and animals.
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to tell your story. Will you tell us about your journey? And
I know that's such an interesting question, right? Because there's so many parts. And as you're talking, my aunt used to say to me, she's like, since you've been a kid, you've always loved animals. Mm-hmm. And I am the one at the party that goes straight to the kids or the animals, probably like you. But yeah, growing up, afraid of everything, just terror and fear and not understanding what it was. And as I've gotten older, I have come to see that it was just, gifts in disguise, incredibly psychic, intuitive, empathic, all of those things. My mom said it when I was little. She was like, I always thought you were going to be a therapist. She's like, you just understood people. You've always had a sense of people. When I was in college, I did this party trick, and I didn't even understand what it was at the time. We'd go into a bar, and I would walk up to a stranger, and my girlfriend, my roommate at the time, would be like, Jamie's going to tell you 3 things about yourself.
Whoa, that's so funny.
So we'd be like, having a good time, and I just tell the person 3 things about themselves, and they were like, that's crazy.
And you're like, why does everybody not also
why
know
isn't
that?
This normal?
Yeah.
Well,
that must have been kind of an awakening, because usually it's like the awakening is like, wait, y'all aren't experiencing that too? Oh, that's why I feel so different. So that must have been a mini awakening, that you had a skill that you didn't realize other people didn't have.
Totally. And I think for me, for so long, because I wasn't in the conversation or the dialogue of this, that it was just like, oh, I guess everybody else is like this, until I started getting older. It actually created a little bit of anger in me too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, no one. And as I got older, I was like, but I want you to see it this way. And how do you not see it this way? And feeling kind of isolated and alone.
Yeah.
So you go through that phase, and then you pop out the other side and realize, oh my gosh, there's so many other people like you. Mm-hmm. Technically, at the core, everyone is like you.
Yes,
it's not as special as you think.
It's all of God's children are special, and none of God's children are special. That's from A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, I did the course too.
You did?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it. I'm like, one thing at a time.
Yeah, I know. There's so many things happening right now. But it's been a crazy journey. I ended up getting really sick when I was young, and then picking up all the pieces. But it was interesting because I was my own greatest canvas. And so being sick, it was like, and Western medicine wasn't working for me. And I just was like, there's got to be something else. And then learned energy healing and life coaching and meditation and all of these things that have over the years, brought me back to my center. And I was meditating the other day, and I heard this phrase, the aligned spirit, of like something I wanted to create in the world. I'm like, that's what you've done. It's like pulling away from all that junk and illusion and worldly things and aligning with spirit to heal. And gosh, heal is just a word. It's semantics to me, but it's just to pop you back to your center so you can have a deeper, richer experience of life. So that's kind of been where I've come from.
And so that aligned spirit is something that's message right now that's been happening, that's been resonant. Yeah. It's similar to what the energy I've been working in lately, which is about resonance and surrender. Similar, like surrender is surrendering to your higher self, or as Bashar puts it, to the organization that's already there, like between your higher self and the universe. And the resonance, is, when you're resonating with something or resonating with your higher self, then there's nothing to do. There's no work. And being very sensitive, you're always like, I'm supposed to do that work. I'm supposed to do that work. I'm supposed to do that work. But you don't have to pay attention to any of it if you're just able to be at peace and resonate with the universe, with yourself.
I like that. I always talk about, too, that it's like, it's innate in us. It's our default nature. That space where everything is already there. It's aligning with it. It's not even, because align, it seems like an action word, because we don't even need to align. It's almost like a letting go of who we thought we were. We're passed down all this stuff from our family. And I think that can be the confusing part for people who are waking up. You're like, what's the difference between my mind and my heart? And it's so confusing in here. But for me, it's just been like one layer at a time. You just come back home, and you come back home. And by the way that you feel, like there's this softness and aliveness and sweetness, and you're like, oh, that's me. The other stuff just feels heavy. Yeah. So it's kind of I call it like I play hot and cold with the universe. I'm like, oh, there I am again. Oh, gone. Oh, there I am again. And it's not to like go, no, when you're not there. It's just like, oh, I've bounced off. I'll find my way back home.
I posted on Instagram recently, when I'm at peace, I am at one with the universe. It's been so hard when you're in the cold or when you're in the dissonance.
Yes.
It's you're just so tricked, but this is where I'm supposed to be so I can make a plan. And this is responsible, but it's actually not, because when you're in that space, when you're disconnected, you're not you're not capable of actually properly responding.
Yeah.
You're not utilizing your ability to respond. Response is now, only never now.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so funny. I'm like, tell us about your journey. We're just like off on a thing.
Well, this is what happens.
And I also started to giggle when you were talking, because I was like, we're like both like dancing, like using these hands.
Just right. That's how I teach like this, and it's 11:11. Yay! They're like, it's fine, do it,
do whatever. Yeah. So you was there some kind of big, I don't know, probably you didn't have a kundalini or some kind of power. Was it like a gentle, I'm moving into what's right for me by awakening gently to the life coaching and meditation?
Yeah, it's been a gradual, for me, I haven't had one of those like, boom, I woke up moments. It's been drip for me. It's just been a gradual unfolding. Not to say I didn't have some really difficult, like mine was getting sick, and everybody has kind of certain ways in. But as you were talking, it's so funny when you said the word dissonance, it's like, I was thinking, well, what if, like, I don't know either, but like, what if that's okay too? Like, what if we're,
the contrast.
Exactly. And because I was always afraid of when I was in the dissonance, like that meant something was wrong and I shouldn't be there. And my goal was, well, how do I get back? And I found more peace with going, well, what if the universe wants us to wake up, fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep, to have the contrast, to see.
So we can have expansion. Yes.
And then it's safe. It's like, in those moments, it's not, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, in music, dissonance is actually a good thing, because, it resolves. That's the thing. That dissonance, and so just to clarify, resonance means when two energies actually, it's not even harmonized, because harmonize means two different tones that are creating together. Resonance means actually coalescing and becoming one energy. That's what resonance is. And it's interesting because I think that's used a lot in higher consciousness or spiritual communities speak. And I think sometimes we don't even really stop and think about what that word means, but it means two energies coming together and becoming one energy. And so that's what resonance is in an entire song, or the universe is one song. So it is resonant, it resonates. Dissonance means when two energies seemingly repel or work against one another. And so in music, when tones are actually really close to one another, like a half step apart, they tend to be dissonant, is what we call it. And it's all subjective. It's entirely subjective. But when those dissonant tones actually resolve into something that is resonant or harmonized, then it feels so good. And even the dissonance, like the darkness, like just the shades, it feels really good because it's like, that's true also.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I love that. As you're talking, it's like, and I've learned this over the years, that's even the dissonance is intelligence going, you're off from your, and I'm using these words lightly, but you're off from your spirit, your center, your resonance. It's like, we need to know that we're on a path that isn't serving our highest good. So how else would we know? It's like the intelligence of the human body. When the hand touches a pot, it's like, it's hot. Our hand burns and it's hot for a reason, to tell us like, oh, it's not smart to touch that pot. Well, when we're dissonant, it's like, it's just telling us there's nothing wrong, bad. You're just, there's the hot and cold.
Yeah.
So I think the more that I've learned to just play with that in my journey, it hasn't become this scary, big, wrong, bad stigma that the world places on us, and just like, oh, this is part of it. I'm growing. I'm caught up again. I'm off. And it's a softer existence.
Well, I think what we have are, maybe it's the fear, or the really harsh critical survivor mechanism believes in good or bad. Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of, I think it's kind of a problem in our current political climate and social media climate, that someone is bad and then they will have a kind of mob justice by social media and lose their entire career because they had a shitty date with someone. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of, I'm referring to maybe some of the most recent social movements, which were really good in a lot of ways. But some of the things, we're equating, we're creating two piles. This is all good and this is all bad. And that's just not true. Humans are universes unto themselves.
Yeah.
And so when we can recognize that, well, I was just thinking when we're talking about the hot, using the hot and the cold as dissonance and resonance, it feels really good to go into the sauna and push yourself to the point where you're almost uncomfortable, and then to come out again.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, you're
Purify.
right. Yeah. And you're right with like all this stigma that the world, like these ideas, and I can't remember the phrase that you said, but yeah.
I don't remember either. Oh, maybe it's like mob justice by like social opinion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I was saying that to my boyfriend too. It's like, if all of our lives were put out, everybody would look like a crazy person. Like it's just, it's a bummer that the people that are, celebrities and people that are in the public eye, we judge them so harshly, but like every human is that. We do make mistakes, and then we hold everybody victim to that one moment in time.
Right.
And we define them and we label them, instead of going, well, that's a growth period for them. The phrase, it's so funny to me, like, people can't change, because I grew up hearing that, like, men don't change, Like, I think that's awful. I don't think that's correct.
Yeah.
People change all the time. That's the nature of life, and
nothing stays the same on
it.
That's what doesn't change. It's that things don't stay the same.
And it's the illusion of holding on to a moment in time is going to look like that because it's your perception of it. But my gosh, if we could just let it be this moving experience, and not hold people victim to this like moment, and yourself too. It's like we hold on to so much guilt and shame, because for me, I identified with sickness for so long. That's me. That's embarrassing. That's not sexy. All of the words that I had around it, but that's not Jamie. That's a part of Jamie. That's a part of the experience that is Jamie, and it's not the whole thing. So it's just that, how can we see it in a looser way to let it move? But
So the sickness, or, being unwell, did you actually, so you said Western medicine wasn't working for you. So did some holistic medicine work for you? Can you speak to whatever that practice? Because actually that's been coming up in my life. My best friend is exploring that, like holistic medicine, Chinese herbalism and everything?
I tried a lot of different things. So I was diagnosed with Lyme. I grew up on the East Coast when I was 12. They gave me antibiotics. Were like, she's fine. They didn't know much about it. It lied dormant until I got stressed out in Los Angeles 8 years ago. And then came off of birth control and my anxiety medication at the same time.
Ooh.
Already stressed out, just experiencing. Didn't know that I was experiencing a ton of psychic energy too. So just a perfect storm. And that was kind of like my catalyst of like, oh God, this is like miserable. I lost a lot of weight and couldn't eat, felt sick, nasty all the time. So that was the beginning. I went to it was doctor of Refology, who was incredible. That's Native American medicine and it's herbs. And she uses it's vibrations, it's light emissions of the food to raise your vibration. It's really fascinating work. So I started there. And a lot of it's interesting because a lot of it worked and a lot of it didn't. And I think for me, what I've seen is that I don't like prescriptions of this works for this because it's different for everybody. So along my journey, sometimes holistic things worked. And even when my Lyme got really bad 3 years ago, I went to a vacation with my boyfriend in Mexico and couldn't walk and ended up in a wheelchair for a little bit. It was crazy. And I did antibiotics. I'm queen holistic. I was like, no, I'm not touching anything unnatural. And that's where my alignment came in, where I was like, you have got to listen to yourself, child. Get out of your own way. What do you need right now for your highest good? And I had to go past my beliefs and did 3 months of antibiotics of anti-malarial stuff and crazy things. But I went to a doctor that was Eastern and Western. So we boosted
That's what I've been looking into myself.
We boosted my, probiotics as I was doing this. And I was on a whole bunch of stuff that would help my immune system at the same time so that the antibiotics wouldn't trash me. So it's, it's a balance. And it's, I do believe too, many of the doctors and healers that I've been to are because you eat so well and you eat so clean and you do energy healing, you have had the ability to have more of a normal life than other people who experience this. Most people are in the hospital without any quality of life who had what I had.
Lyme in particular? Wow.
And I was full on, working and doing things. And so I believe that all of that holistic stuff was helping me stay aligned and in my center because I see holistic stuff as close to nature, close to source. It's what's in its most natural form. And that's us too. So if we can have in our field, have in our bodies, that which is closest to source in whatever way you go towards it or whatever thing you use, I just feel like it all is aligning. And we're using that word today, but pulling us back to ourselves. So it helped me a lot. But then there were times that it didn't, so it would be weird for me to say that, go only holistic and go only because it's easy to get in this spiritual world and go and be very black and white,
right?
Or the holistic world. And I had my butt handed to me with this one and have to surrender to that. So it's cool. And it's taught me you can meditate and you can do your energy healing and you can also have coffee in the morning because you're human, because I love coffee. And you pick up the pieces one little bit at a time.
You seem to go through that in the sort of spiritual awakening path where you're like, okay, I'm hearing all these people say that coffee is bad, or you know what I mean? And I think a client just asked me last week, was talking about substances using pot or alcohol, which she doesn't use very much, And I was like, look, if you came to me and said, I want to know if it's okay to use heroin or meth. I mean, not all substances are equal.
Yeah, exactly.
And even though I can't do THC at all, but I would say if you can, that's a very mild one. It's very natural. It's very, as substances are concerned. The thing is about Western versus, not that they should be versus, honestly, Western versus Eastern.
Yeah.
We tend to think of Western, or I guess Western medicine is a bit more technological. So it's taken what is natural and gotten more into a refined or synthesized version of it, very generally speaking. But it makes sense to me. I put it in its place that is also something that we benefit by because we don't live in a world that is holistic. It is. We live in a context with a lot of synthesis. I mean, look at us. We're here on electronic equipment. We have things popped into our ears, and we're online, and there's so much technology around us, and that's great. So that's a part of the human experience as well. So that's why I think the balance is really beneficial.
Yeah, and I think the thing that like pains my heart, so if anybody's listening and can relate to this, there really is no one way to heal, and you'll hear that. Like, that's the thing. You have to tune it out. One of my mentors calls it noise, and it's like you will get a lot of noise. Our advertising, our commercials, you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. Your friends are going to say, oh, this is the best thing. But if you look, you will find proof of all different modalities, Eastern, Western, this, that worked for everybody. So there we go with the resonance again. Does that tune into yourself? Does, chemotherapy feel right for you, or does natural, medicine feel right for you for your treatment? And then go with what feels resonant with your soul, because it's your journey.
And be flexible and adaptable, because that's going to shift from moment to moment as you're saying yes to yourself over and over. Then there are new things. There's always review. Not being stuck with one tool ever.
Girl, that has been, when I can share with people, they're like, what's your secret, or what's helped you the most? And I believe it's my openness, my open mind. I don't, I fall victim to it all the time, but I tend to not grip too tightly to things as it's this way or the highway. And even like, I'll start a program and won't finish it or something like that. And instead of going, well, that means I'm bad because I didn't finish it, I was meant to do that first part of this, because that was just that next part of my thing that I was supposed to learn. And, it's that present moment, what's coming through you. And we fall so easily into that. Like, I've got to keep doing it because it worked for me. And it's our brain going, I think this thing made me feel better. So I'm going to attribute it to that. And that's what a brain does. A brain makes correlations and connections. And that's where habits and addictions form. And that's where like patterns and behaviors form. And it's like, if we can just be open to what wants to come through me. And it's challenging. It can cause identity crisis where you're like, I don't know who I am, and I've been used to this thing, and this isn't what I do, and that's not Jamie. And
And then there's like death that happens with that. When you're having that, this isn't Jamie, then it's like, well, then that's something that I am, and that I have been. And it's that I am is really what we're talking about.
Look, it's tattooed on my arm.
Oh. I didn't know. She's wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Well, that's what alignment is. That's what resonance is the I am.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of unfortunate that in our language, in the English language, we say, I am sad.
I know.
Instead of I have, or I'm experiencing, we identify to it. Or even in like, at least in French, you say, I have hunger. And that's good.
Wow.
J'ai faim,
Yeah.
But I have fear. They say that's how it's expressed in French. Je prête, I think. It's high school French, so don't correct me. I'm probably wrong.
Sounds good to me. I don't know French.
Prête. Oh, je suis prête. So yeah, I think it is I am. Anyway, the point is, if we could adjust that, of course, we would sound crazy if we walked around saying, I have fear.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to adjust that? Because I'm willing to go forward
right,
as this. I don't care what people think. So I have anger today.
I have sadness. Sadness is in my field.
Yes.
And I observe it.
Yes. I have anger that I observe. Or I'm momentarily experiencing this.
I am using the tool of sadness today to understand who I am.
Yes. It is my dissonance. I love it.
We're going to start. You got to help me, though, because I can't be the only one in the world.
And anyone listening, let's start this. You're not going to be alone. Tricia and I are with you.
Yeah.
I'm in. We need to change it.
Yeah, I think so. Well, okay, one thing that I was... that came to mind when you were talking about, you said, I start this program and then I stop it. And then we have this, that's the conditioning saying that, good girls go to school from K to 12. And then, now it's going to, there's the bachelor's. Then really smart girls go to master's and advanced degrees. You know what I mean? Like, so that, and there's nothing wrong. Actually, it's a really beautiful part of the human experience to feel gratified by accomplishments.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But again, it's when we allow that outside kind of vision that is suggested from without, to become the master rather than a tool that helps us to feel our own I am. But it reminded me also of the question that my clients or students will ask me sometimes, where they say, I followed my intuition, but then it didn't turn out. And I'm actually in a place right now where you said program. I actually kind of got this program, or I did this coaching, and it didn't really work for me part of the way through, but I'm still paying for it. And so I'm having to every day, like, bless the money, be like, I followed my intuition, and today it is aligning. In this moment, I am aligning with my intuition by finding my resonance, and something good will come of this.
Yeah.
The intuition is in the now.
Yes.
And
intuition too, what an interesting, I see it more as wisdom or intelligence. Yeah, intuition, same thing. It's our mind that goes, your mind's sneaky, man. It's like, well, the person that's saying this isn't working out, well, that's not your wisdom saying that. Your wisdom wanted you in that point in time for your highest good, for your growth. And then your mind went, oh, my intuition's broken, or like I'm not following it correctly, or it didn't lead me to where I want. Wisdom doesn't necessarily, like, wisdom could make you end your relationship. Wisdom could say you need to quit eating dairy if that's like something that's bothering you. And your brain might go like, that's not my intuition. My intuition would never make me do something I don't want to do. But yeah, your wisdom's going to always have your back, even if your mind is frustrated. It doesn't necessarily have to be rainbows and pink things all the time. It's like, I like that thought of like, it is for your highest good. So to do that course and not pay it off for whatever reason that person needed. I bought this business thing, and it was very expensive.
That's my thing.
I did it for a couple weeks, and then I don't want to do it anymore. I'm so resistant to it. And I said to myself, I'm like, okay, you don't want to do it. We're not going to force you to do this thing. If it comes back, it comes back. I learned a lot from it already. Maybe it was for me to learn to just keep trusting myself, and I don't need those things. And maybe I chose to do it not from wisdom. Many of us think we're picking things from wisdom, but maybe it was my head that was like, okay, everybody else is on this business train. You got to get there too, Jamie. And I'm doing what I want to do and what's resonant to me. So I think they say, I was never in AA, but I think they say in AA, stay in your own lane. And that's coming to me so strong, because it's like, we're on earth where we have the illusion of separateness, and we look at everyone else's lane, but that's literally like, look at that. That isn't your lane. Like, it's another person.
Tend to your own knitting.
Do your own journey. Go at your own speed. Have your own experience. That's what it is.
Well, you can't really do anything else, because it's actually your soul that creates your path. So you can't mimic someone else's. That's actually, trying to do something that isn't yours, that's literally misalignment, and it's just suffering then.
Yeah. So if you can just go, okay, I'm on earth with lots of people, but I'm in my own experience, and I'm going to constantly look in, not look out, to what feels right, what's next, who cares if no one else is doing this, well, I spent that money and this doesn't feel right to me anymore. And it's okay, because you can leave it and come back to it.
Well, the universe is endlessly abundant anyway.
Totally.
The earth, the Gaia is abundance. So who cares? I'm paying $300 a month to something that I didn't use.
And if I believe if
he's a nice guy.
Totally. That person needed your money.
That's right. That's what I'm doing. I'm blessing it.
Totally. If I ever get like a parking ticket or something, I call it a donation to the city. Like, I made my donation to the city today. How nice of me.
Oh, that's funny. I have a friend who was just talking about when you get a parking ticket, pay it now. Go in and write that check. And that's the thing that's so annoying, is you have to like have friggin' checks to
$72, man. What's that all?
And I used to get so mad at them, probably about 3 years ago. Oh, I remember coming in the house, and like, so my father had rage issues, and I'm going to not speak this upon myself. In the past, every now and again, I would let rage. It's so silly. Like, my rage is like taking this thing and going, ah!
Yeah. Tricia.
But even that felt bad, because I'm such a gentle person.
Yes.
But I came in with a ticket, screamed at my husband, I'm getting a ticket for parking on my own fucking street, and like slammed the ticket on the ground.
Yes.
And it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
It did not help. It manifested that, and the I am of anger became physical with me, even though it was throwing a piece of paper on the ground. But
I know.
Yeah, that's the parking ticket thing, though. I like that, making a donation to the city. And so it's a way that you redeem something. redeem a choice, and bless something. It will, really everything exists anyway, and all possibilities, all lives, all choices exist in parallel experiences.
Yes.
So if I choose the parallel experience where this is okay and this is good, then it will align even the timeline behind me where I was negligent as to where my car was parked.
I love that. I love that. Two things. First of all, I'm watching the OA right now.
Oh,
Have
really?
you seen that?
Yeah, I just finished watching the second season.
Last night's episode scared me. I was like,
You're in the second season?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know if I could finish this. But the parallel universe thing is intriguing to me. So my girlfriend and I used to always say, we would call it, her name is Shar. We would say parallel universe Shar, parallel universe Jamie. Like if we'd go into a party or something, we'd look at each other and be like, parallel universe Jamie, boom. And we'd walk in as our highest aligned self, and magic would happen. It was like, I used to be shy dancing in front of people. I remember one specific instance where we went into a concert. It was this like spiritual music, and we were dancing, and I said parallel universe Jamie before I walked in, and I was just this free spirit. I was like having fun. I wasn't shy. I didn't care what people thought. And it's weird. It's a choice. And it was like almost just saying that. It's like I tuned into who I know I am before everything I learned.
Wow.
So yeah, you could just roll with parallel universe version and just pop it on.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that's what meditation and prayer are for me too. And it can be those portals to that's what meditation does, gets you in contact with your true essence, or the true essence of the universe. That's the same stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so prayer, before we start the show, I say a prayer or an invocation.
I love that.
And because I'm in here and I didn't even put my shoes on or my lips or anything.
Throwing things.
Yeah. I do. Kurt, the producer, Kurt, remember when I had a task that Kurt now takes over for me where I would actually share something on my phone or my iPad. It was my phone and my iPad, but now Kurt does it for me. And I would take them when I was done, and I would like throw them aside, and my guest would always be like, "Whoa."
I remember that. Yeah.
That's good.
Like, I'm done with this.
And I'd be like, "It's okay."
That's good. Letting it out though.
Well, part of it was like in case they go off, like getting way out of the way.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, okay. So the work that you do,
you
do life coaching, you do animal communication, you do readings, one-on-one sessions and stuff like that. Tell us about all of the stuff that you do.
It's cool. So I do a lot of different things, and I tried recently to be like, okay, what's the through line for all that you do? And really it's to connect people to the formless to heal in all the variety of ways, because again, it's like we're so just see the form. That's all we see. And there's so much more to that. I've just had this ability since I was little to believe in magic and portals and parallel universes and spaces in between, and hope and all of those things. So what I do, I work with animals, which again, that's like really got to look past what you see. And you understand that too, doing the same thing. So I communicate with animals psychically. I do one-on-one work with people, life coaching. My life coaching isn't like the goal setting life coaching. It's very much understanding the nature of yourself as a human, and understanding the nature of thought, that it moves, that it's transient, that it's not who you are. So I really help people understand who they are beyond thought and plug them back into that space and set them off from that place. This one book I read when I was doing my life coaching training said, if Jesus was your client, would you give Jesus the tools to like walk on water and do miracles, or would you just remind him that he's Jesus? Right? And then he can go forth and do whatever he wants to do in the world. So that's what I do in the coaching. It's like, how can we find who you are and set you off as that, which is really beautiful and something I love to do. And then I'm a meditation teacher as well. I work at a bunch of different corporations and at a meditation center, and I do a lot of talks. So just these conversations, and get out there that like you're so much more than what you see, and healing is possible, and just all of these amazing spiritual principles. So one-on-one groups. I've been doing retreats, which has been fun, workshops. And I have this who knows? So this is an interesting thing that's coming into my reality right now. I really want to do some more work with the animal world because it's something I have never advertised. I have never just put out there anything with the animal stuff, and it has been the easiest flow. I've had such great impact, miracle stories with these animals, their whole lives 180ing, and then their owners' lives. It's such an amazing, they heal, the owner heals. It's so much more than just the animal. Really wanting to open up an animal sanctuary. We have one in Los Angeles, and it's in Idlewild. It's an hour and a half from LA. And we have a ton of rescue groups, but there's no outdoor where dogs can just run free in nature situation. And when my last dog passed, I was like, I want to make that. So here's me with like Jamie doing all her things, and then this new idea like blasts through my system. But who knows where life will take me, and if it's in that direction or a group of things. But yeah, I mean, I just love working with people to see the deeper parts of life that we miss when we're just like, oh, I'm a human, I have a 9 to 5, I get married, I retire, I die. Oh my God, it's so much more than that, like so much more than that.
And animals are such, I mean, they're spiritual teachers naturally because they are natural, and nature is spirit, spirit is nature, as above so below. And what's so amazing about animals is that they have a tendency, they can heal so quickly. Like as I know you experienced a million times, sometimes just hearing the story of their trauma, they're boom, like that. It's all over. It shows up physically, shows up behaviorally. And I was just explaining this to, I don't know, some students or clients recently, that sometimes that will happen so quickly because they just kind of needed, especially if it's a rescue situation, they just needed to state, this is the story in the past, and this is not okay with me. And when the humans, like their new human family, feels it and understands and has compassion, then they're like, oh, good, okay, you get it.
Wow.
And they're just done.
Wow.
Right?
We just want, I mean, my gosh, all of us, we just want to be heard. We just want to be seen. We just want to, no judgment. We just want to be with.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of what I deal with most of my clients is confusion energy comes up.
Yeah.
And I just say to the owners a lot, like, your animal's just confused, because talk to them like you'd be explaining something to a 4 or 5 year old kid. Like,
Get
not
clear.
talk down to them, but
get clear. Yeah. Don't take out all the BS. You know, we speak in affirmative language rather than negating language. Like, don't be scared.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you said that to you say that to a full grown person, and it's like the message there is not really very supportive, honestly.
No, never.
Yeah.
So clearing up the confusion of like, this is what's happening, and this is what happened to you, and they're like, I mean, I'm on the phone with them, I can feel into their energy, and the second I explain something to them, it's like this, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I get it now, and their behaviors just calm down. So, I mean, for people and animals, like, to be with, to
be present,
to see, and then the energy can move. Yeah.
Do you do with animals? So you do one-on-one sessions. Are you doing things with groups, or you know what I mean? Are you working with sanctuaries and have you
Groups with animals?
I guess. Or maybe sanctuaries or rescues and stuff like that, where there's a lot of people and or animals.
So I've been doing trainings, group trainings. Okay. So like, I'll teach a group of people to do the animal communication, and we'll work together. But no, I mean, that's a really cool idea. I used to just do one-on-one volunteer stuff with organizations and fostering and things like that. And my boyfriend and I went into a kill shelter about a month ago, and I brought Reiki into the animals and just held space for them and things like that. But looking into working with sanctuary, and maybe, so another dream of mine, this is all just coming out on the air. When I create the animal sanctuary, I would love to have it be on a space that's like a farm where I can hold retreats there. So people come, because there's something about being in nature, being detached from your life, being around the animals, and we can have that experience, a deeper experience. Because I work with people, because we all lead, abundant lives. I don't like the word busy. I do most
abundant
of my stuff.
Abundant with activity.
Because that's the truth, right? I do most of my stuff on the phone or on Skype or on Zoom, because that way I can, be in my own space and fill it with more clients and things like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, I think what would bring more happiness to my soul, their soul, the animal soul, is to just that would be something I would want to do.
And you're welcome to it. You have an official invitation. I'm creating a commune.
Amazing.
Well, partly also because I have animals right in my family that don't travel. So I have cats and birds. And so it's really hard for me to travel because however well cared for they are, my body aches because I'm separated from them physically.
Yeah.
And so
it's your family.
Yeah. So I'm going to create the space where, and it would be I would be more relaxed. My poor husband never gets to take me away because if it were like they get to stay there and my family who live in another structure with their animals can come and take care of them, and nothing's
What's your
really
vision?
changing.
Is it like a space in LA? Is it inside, outside? Like, what does the commune look like to you?
Agora Hills
Got
because it's close enough to LA and there's a lot of horse property there, and I just have an affinity for it. My husband and I actually met in that area.
Aww.
Yeah, and so there is it's kind of a small sanctuary. It's sort of a sanctuary that we looked at moving to. And the person who owned it, what's it called? Have a Heart Sanctuary. I don't know if it's still there or not. It's been it's been like a year and a half since we went and looked at it. But she had a decent amount of property. And there were a few dogs, that were rescued. They were mostly small. I think they were mostly Chihuahuas. One of them peed on me. That was fun.
You needed just to clear up some confusion.
He claimed me. He's like,
you.
I like this chick. She's mine. Stand away. So, but yeah, you know, where there could be many structures, and then I would have, of course, a studio there so that we could teach and do podcasts and stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, enough property so that we could take in horses and some larger animals and different kinds of farm and also domesticated animals.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everyone's animal families.
Totally. I mean, what spurred this whole thing too, you could probably relate. When I went to the kill shelter, I was like, how is this even a thing? Like, how are we? It just seemed so not right and backwards to me that we could just kill dogs because they're older or sicker and we don't have space for them.
I know.
And so I was just like, there needs to be, and there's a lot, obviously, there's a lot of layers. There's the education of the neutering and spaying and, backyard breeders obviously isn't a wonderful thing. Go and always adopt. There's, oh my gosh, my dog is an angel and we got him from a kill shelter. My last dog was an angel and we got him from a kill shelter.
Yeah.
But just really wanting, like, where I was the mom to all these animals and they wouldn't know they didn't have, they wouldn't know they were in a shelter. That's why it's like a sanctuary and they can have this open space to run. And if they're sick, they have their own little badass open space, with a vet and, because they're sitting in their poop and pee on this cold surface. And it's just, I know. So I don't know if anyone's listening that is thinking about an animal, like there are angels and kill shelters and you got to be patient with them at first. Explain to them their trauma, as you say, and give them some time to come out of their shell. But so
their fields have to heal and readjust, and they have to learn. I mean, because especially the domesticated animals who are biologically domesticated, cats and dogs, they are not animals that truly can live in the wild because they aren't wild anymore. They're domesticated like we are. So cats that are feral and living. And the other thing, we don't really have like I was saying, at least where we live, this isn't nature. So a cat that's just on the street that was born and lives, that they don't know how to live there because of the biological predisposition that we've imposed upon them to be domesticated, as well as the fact that there isn't actual nature around. There are streets and cars and structures, and that's not nature. Yeah. And dogs are the same. We don't see it as much in the United States, feral dogs, but if you go like to Mexico, because they don't have the same kind of animal control facility or agency that we have. And so they need, we are their guardians. We just are physically. Yeah. Spiritually, they are much more well equipped to be our guardians. Yeah. But physically, because we have asked them to adapt their bodies and their minds to our world, we are responsible for them. Yeah. And that extends to wild nature and wild animals as well, because again, we're the ones who just put up structures and systems and technology, and that is pushing into spaces that even if the structures aren't that proximate, in Africa and in the outback and different places where we've just pushed up against it, even if it seemingly isn't that proximate.
Yeah.
I guess we could go to climate change and all that too if we
I
wanted
know,
to.
that's what I was saying. There's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
But
genetically modified organisms and what that's doing to that's not isolated to a particular farm. There's microbial terroir as well. The air, the microscopic terrain of the atmosphere. So that is spread everywhere. We're on a thing. Jamie got me going.
Love and light to the animal world.
And the nature world as well. Do you communicate with nature, like trees and butterflies?
You know who does is my mom.
Oh, okay. I do too.
My mom has such a connection to the trees. It's incredible. And nature, like that's when she comes to visit. If I don't notice the beauty around me, it's like having her with me. It's like, oh, look at these beautiful flowers. And isn't that a majestic tree? And she'll be the one that will walk under a tree and just look at me. And I'm like, here she goes. She'll just look at me with this beautiful smile and she'll start crying and I'll know she feels the energy. She's a lot stronger at that than I am. I don't know if she'd think that because she's always like, well, you're the one that knows all these things. But no, she is a very strong connection to nature. I'm sure I could tune in. It's just something I feel the energy of. But, animals and people are kind of what I've just been tuning into and feeling. And then also learning, I think I know we're getting closer to the end, but just to say too, like what's helped me heal and get back to the center is just tuning into myself. And I mean self with a capital S, not self like human Jamie. And yes, there's aspects of that, but like my energy, my space, my connection to source, within and without. So nature, anything. And I know I alluded to this in the beginning, and it's hard to put words on these things, but we do our best, right? It's like anything in its most natural form. So food, medicine, feelings, connection, hot and cold with the universe, and feel your way back to simplicity before the storm, before the excess fat layer. That's where your healing comes. And again, healing, that's a word. It doesn't need to look a certain way. Yours could be forgiving somebody, or it could be starting to eat more fruit, or it could be starting to play more, or it could be taking the antibiotics because it's a lesson in, self-love, and that's what you need right now. It's just like finding your way back home, and that's tuning in and going forward one step at a time, and that's where the magic is.
And tuning in is tuning into the feelings when the feeling state is good.
Yeah.
Tuning in isn't tapping into the stressful, critical mind, the one that's
deeper.
saying, you should try harder. And yeah.
And tuning in. And sometimes like, I can have a good feeling, but it's more of like a peace. Like there's always this peace underneath.
Yes, when you get to that peace, that's what the tuning in is. I just wanted to make sure people heard that, because sometimes people think, okay, I tuned in, and they're tuning in over here, and it's like, okay, other people don't have to sleep 8 hours, and so
and they're listening to that. It's deeper, and they did a study with children, and the emotions last 90 seconds. So a raw energy is a minute and a half. So if we can allow our thinking and feeling, and again, this is like idealistic because we're humans and we're working on it, but if we can allow that to move through us, that's just this experience that moves, washes in and out. So there's that. There's your human experience, in, out, 90 seconds. I feel this. That's what I like to call spiritual Play-Doh. It's not truth. What's truth? That's just a way you can experience the world. What's truth is what I'm talking about, tuning in underneath of that. Right. Michael Neal, who's one of my favorite teachers, he shares an analogy of a barge that's floating on the river, and there's a roller coaster on top of the barge, and the human experience is us in the roller coaster having this thing, but you never think to look down. You go, oh, my life, and I'm tuning in, and then all along you've been floating on this barge if you just look down. And so we just that's always there. No matter what your human experience is. And I think this is so cool. You can never be broken or scratched or tarnished, no matter what you've gone through. Yes, again, that's your story. We validate it. We see it. We understand it. But underneath of that, there's a solution. there's a forgiveness, there's a peace, there's a joy, there's a connection to you, like 100% whole, just waiting for you to look down.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And don't try to wrap your head around what I'm saying. If you just kind of open your mind to like, what if? That opens the door for the magic to pop through.
You can even like maybe when you're doing that is rather than using the like parts of your body, like honestly using the left side of your head, that really is where the critical mind, because it's the left brain is what, but if you could feel deeper into your heart or just deeper into your whole body rather than just, like up here where that guy sits.
Oh, yeah. Like pulling it down.
Like
in my meditations, I'm always like, dip down a little deeper into the ocean, the still parts.
Right.
It's just sitting in that place, and you're not trying to stop the roller coaster because that's human. But here I am, settled in and grounded in amidst the storm. One of my favorite quotes is, don't let others pull you into their storm, pull them into your peace. So it's here I am. I'm in my own lane, doing my thing.
And that's hard to learn as an empathic person.
And that's your journey.
Because we think we go into their storm and say, I'm going to stop the storm.
And you feel the storm. You try to control the storm because it hurts in your
Identify to
body.
it, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
girl,
I know. I can transmute anything. If I go and feel that hard enough, it'll go away for all of us.
Totally.
That's what
and I think
sick empath thinks.
Yeah, and that's why I think, talk about sick, that's why I think a lot of my symptoms were was just trying to run other people's energy through my body instead of just like, it's healing from the inside out. It's just tune into you, get strong inside, let your energy field expand instead of trying to control the outside, because that's where you're in the storm and you're not in the peace,
Yes.
So...
Well, yes, we are out of time now. Oh, please tell everyone how they can get in touch with you and what you're up to now and everything the way that they can keep the Jamie train going.
Yeah, my website is jamiewozny.com and my Instagram is @JamieWozny. So anything.
101 sessions, classes, and all of that kind of
All
stuff.
of that's
It's
on my
there.
website or Instagram. Yeah, and they can, private message me, reach out if you have any questions about any of this stuff. Obviously, I could talk about it for days, so I'd love to assist if I can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
here
for having
today.
me.
I hope you'll come back.
Yes, anytime.
I mean, we could just
We
sit
could
here for
talk
5 hours.
We'll bring the animal crew next time.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, you could bring your pup.
Oh, that would be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll tune in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And just a reminder to follow me on social media at Tricia Carr Charm, or to like, subscribe, share, comment on youtube.com/Tricia Carr. I'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.